Hello, Gustav.
Hello. How are you?
А можно его вывести на экран? Hello. Do you
Hello.
see me? No? Can you say something, please?
Yeah, okay. So I'm trying to speak right now. Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Потише, его погромче. Just a second, we make a check of the sound.
Okay,
Sound
perfect.
check.
Should I try to talk a bit while you check the sound?
Yeah, please talk. А можно
Okay.
потише?
So, well, hello everyone. Welcome to this amazing session that we have ahead of us with a score.
Yeah, cool.
Working?
We don't see, yeah, that's okay, but we don't see you yet on the big screen where we're fixing this. Гриш, переключаем, да, его? Like, что такое спорт? Может, ты его представишь? Знаешь, что такое спорт? Я не знаю. Давай ты, когда начнешь прям с ним разговаривать и все остальное делать. Выйдешь, да, расскажешь, что это Густав такой-то. Он делает такой спор. Там тема такая. Да. Вот, только без рюкзака. Можешь его здесь положить, где тебе удобно. Все безопасно. Гриша, а мы будем начинать трансляцию или что? А что сейчас происходит? Ну, выводи его на экран. И все, начинаем. 1 minute. We're almost ready.
No problem, no problem.
Yeah. Too many people fixing it.
Wow, it looks like there are some people in the room. Have it been a good conference so far?
Yeah. They don't understand that you are stars because we don't see you on screen yet. They just see themselves now. We're fixing the camera. Okay, now you are on the big screen.
All right.
In 1 second more, we'll present you and start the presentation.
Okay, perfect.
Все, начинаем, да? Все работает? Да? Что? Дамы и господа, мы всех, кто хочет остаться на лекцию Густава Богерфолка, основателя SCORE, просим присаживаться. Мы начинаем другое мероприятие. Дамы и господа, у нас начинается другая трансляция. Мы просим вас отойти или присесть. Gustav, don't worry that there is not so many people. We have already made a big announcement on, maybe probably you will see me like this. Yeah, that's Daria. Hello.
Hello.
When you start, more people will come. So don't worry that there is not so many people yet. Now my colleague Alexei will present you in Russian because he was actually writing the article on Edutainme about SCORE. So he knows much more than me, and he will make a presentation and he will moderate your discussion, like question answers. It would be his responsibility. So, Лёша, пожалуйста.
Hello, Gustav.
Hello. Hi.
It's nice to meet you. Yeah, and we're at Edutainme, a big fan of SCORE, and thank you. Now let me introduce you to everybody, and then we will start. If you will have any problems with presentation, you can ask me.
Brilliant. Thank you.
Здравствуйте, уважаемые коллеги. Сейчас начнется лекция Густава Богерфалка, который является основателем сервиса SCORE. И этот сервис предлагает альтернативные дипломам, альтернативные бумажным дипломам и аттестатам методы сертификации и оценки знаний, а также их подтверждения для работодателей и для образовательных организаций. И за годы существования этого сервиса им воспользовалось что-то около 15 миллионов студентов для того, чтобы подтвердить так или иначе свои компетенции в обход традиционных способов сертификации. И название выступления звучит как «Будущее сертификации и цифровые модели, альтернативные цифровые модели оценивания». И теперь я передаю слово Густаву. Густав, you can start. So.
Okay, brilliant. Thank you so much for the introduction. Well, very, very nice to be here, and thank you so much for having me. Sorry that I couldn't attend in person, but this is hopefully fun and interesting session. So I'm going to switch to screen share in a second and share a presentation with you. So just one moment, please. Here we go. Here we go. Can you see this? Okay. So the agenda for today, thinking of starting of giving you a brief background about student competitions and the score.
Excuse me, Gustav, we can see the presentation, but can you make it full screen?
Absolutely.
Because it is very small now.
Okay. Is it full screen now?
You should push the play button.
Okay, play button. Here we go. So now it should be full screen. Is it full screen for you?
No.
Okay, sorry, I'll make another try. 1 second, and we'll do like this instead. Da, 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 da.
Oh, yeah, it's perfect now. Great.
Perfect, brilliant.
Thank you.
Thank you. So I was thinking of first giving a brief background about SCORE, student competitions, and where we're from. Then continue to talk a bit about the challenge of evaluating employable skills that is following on the revolution in education that we're currently seeing. Next, I'm going to talk about the concept of market-driven certification of skills, which is what we are promoting. And I'm going to end off by giving you a brief preview and a demo of how we are tackling this perceived challenge. And I'm also going to give you a demo of a service that we're launching in just a couple of weeks from now. So you will probably be some of the first in the world to see this. And then end the presentation with an interactive session with some questions. So SCORE started roughly 5 years ago. You can see the 4 co-founders on the image on the left. We started off in a basement in the Stockholm School of Economics in Sweden. The basics of the company is that we run we run a website for competitions for students called Student Competitions, because we realized 5 years ago that there are numerous competitions out there organized by companies, universities, and organizations that are aiming to connect young people with opportunities, and opportunities that those organizations present. So over the course of 5 years, we have developed the world's largest community for students who compete, and the service where students from anywhere in the world can go in and they can identify different types of competitions. And over the years as well, at SCORE, we built up this global network of young, talented people between the age of 18 to 30. and also a network of universities and other educational institutions that helps to sort of disseminate the competitions to their students, and also helps to connect their students with global opportunities through competitions. And just to give you a brief insight in competitions, like what are competitions and why do organizations use them? So organizations use competitions for marketing and engagement purposes. They use them as educational processes where you take a student through a series of steps and educate them at the same time. In open innovation competitions, companies especially open up challenges that they have and allow external innovators to compete for opportunities to connect with the company. Enrollment competitions are run by universities where students compete for scholarships, and also recruitment competitions where students can prove their value and skills for companies and thereby connect with them. One example of such a competition that you can see here is the Coloplast Global Career Challenge, where you go through a series of steps in the competition as a way of pre-screening the candidates in order for them to access Coloplast's trainee program. And Coloplast received thousands of applications for this trainee program, so the competition is a way for them both to attract the people that are interested in solving a particular type of problems, but also to attract those that are competitive and also that has a desire to prove their skills and value for the company. Another brief example of this methodology is the competition we're organizing with the government of New Zealand and Callaghan Innovation, which is their innovation authority, to stimulate UAV and drone industry in New Zealand, where local innovators are invited to innovate and come up with new concepts for drones for the movie and screen industry. And this is a way for the government to promote and incentivize innovators to innovate in this field. Through the years, we've built up this competence in the competition field, and today we're working with all kind of clients around the world across all industries and subject areas. So, as you may know, there are currently a lot of changes going on the educational market. And the traditional model of education, which has been prevailing for the past hundreds of years, is that you go to a university or an educational institution where you study. You study for 3 years or for 5 years, and eventually at the end of the to advance and develop professionally. And what we see today is that more and more people get an education. Globally, that not only is the population of Earth increasing, but also that the number of enrolled students in primary, secondary, and tertiary education is also with millions and millions of students every year. And this trend is fueled by digitalization and globalization. Over the next 10 years, another 1.5 billion people will get access to the internet, and thus they will get access to acquiring an education. We see that there are many new ways to acquire an education today. It's no longer going to a university and getting your degree, but it's also self-learning, internships, non-academic programs or professional programs, and also online courses, which we've seen a tremendous growth in usage over the past years, though there are still many more things to prove for the industry. most educators are agreed that the digital landscape is transforming the way that we view education. We also recognize that there is a more diversified set of education providers. The traditional universities now have both competition from and a complement in online course providers like edX, Udacity, iTunes University, and hundreds of other actors that are in this space. And a third trend that is affecting the educational market is, of course, the international mobility and the way that students move across borders to study and to work at a much higher rate today than ever before. As you can see on this slide, I took some statistics from where the thousands of students that go to Russia every year to study, where they come from. And you can see on the heat map to the right, roughly the distribution of the inflowing talents to Russia that come to study at any of the universities or at the institutions in your country. And this goes for every country. We see that the mobility of students is increasing very rapidly, and borders is becoming less of an issue for the talented students where they choose to study. We also see an increase competition between countries and universities to compete for the best talents and attract them to themselves. But what does this mean? What does this mean? Well, all these profound changes for the on the educational market has a profound impact on the market for recruitment. And recruiters today are experiencing huge issues in evaluating all these people that apply for their opportunities and jobs. And in the world where it's also much easier to apply for a job, because of sites like LinkedIn and Monster that has started to facilitate the way that people apply for jobs, it is very common today that popular employers receive 100, sometimes 200, sometimes 400 or 500 applicants per vacant position. So some companies, they experience a huge increase in the number of applicants, while other companies experience a complete decline, so that they have difficulty in attracting candidates at all. And as an example, Google, which we all know is a very attractive employer, receives 450 applicants per position. But the average company in the average Fortune 500 companies receive somewhere between 50 and 100 applicants per graduate spot. So there is an immense competition for jobs. And the question then becomes, what is the value of your certification? So suppose that you have earned your certification through a non-traditional mean, that you studied at edX or you took your degree at a university that is not very well known. How can you prove your value to these employers? And how can you develop a method so that the employers can easier identify the skilled people? Because a diploma, it's not only a measurement of knowledge. The traditional diploma that says that you have this and that knowledge, it's a mark of quality, and it's also a promise from the institution and from the university that if you take a diploma from our course, you can use it to access jobs, internships, scholarships, or even capital. So while the supply of education is increasing at a tremendous pace, the value of the currency of education on the labor market is becoming more fluid, and it's becoming more difficult for students to prove their value on the education market. And the founder of LinkedIn, Reid Hoffman, he formulated it in this way: as education becomes faster, cheaper, and more available, certification needs to become faster, cheaper, and more effective too. So the challenge for recruiters is, how do you identify these colorful parrots of students that we see in the new world? The students that no longer have one credential, but multiple credentials, and that have a multitude of skills that they need to measure in order to hire the right people. And this is why we have developed a methodology together with some of the largest employers in the world, which we call certification by the market. And the fundamental is that it shouldn't matter where you learned or how you learned, but what should matter is how you can perform and what skills that you can demonstrate in practice for the employers. So instead of emphasizing on the certificates you get when you leave education, we see that you prove when you use them to access an opportunity, which means that we validate and certify your employable skills, which is the skills that you need when you are applying for. So I'm going to show a couple of examples, and here is an example for Credit Suisse, the UK investment, or it's a Swiss investment bank, but they're based in the UK. So they're a very popular employer, but they also have a difficulty in attracting developers, because as a bank, they're not traditionally perceived as an employer for developers. Developers tend to choose other companies that may have more cred among developers, like Google or Spotify or Facebook or similar. But the competition format, Credit Suisse manages to attract people that are interested in solving a particular type of issues. And it's possible for them to assess and make a pre-screening candidates in the actual in the process of the application. So instead that you spend 2-3 hours of filling out an application for the company and then have no idea where it ends up, you get a very firm idea of in the competition how you rank compared to people that compete. And in the competition, you go through a series of steps so that you make a very brief assessment of your numerical reasoning skills, your verbal reasoning skills, but also particular programming skills, in this case, Python, SPSS, and SQL. And by gathering this data, the recruiters will have more data to evaluate when it comes to making the actual recruitment decision and the decision on who to invite for an interview. And this method can be used for both large organizations, but also for smaller companies and medium-sized companies. And by putting the candidates through this competition funnel, you can make sure that the initial candidates get the feedback on the contributions they send in. The top 10% or 15% could get certificates, because if you participate in a competition and you end up in the top 10-15%, even if you don't get the job, it's still worth something, and it still means that you have skills and skills that you can use in similar jobs or when applying for similar jobs. And of course, for the winners, they are happy that they get access to the actual opportunities at hand. This is an example of how we work with a university in cooperation with companies. So not only do we use competition methods to recruit for companies, but also to recruit for university programs and master's programs. So in this particular case, we're working with the Royal Institute of Technology in Stockholm in Sweden to promote their master's programs towards Indian students. And as you can see on the bottom of the page, there are 4 master's programs in wireless systems, in electrical power engineering, aerospace engineering, and engineering design, where the students can win full scholarships for these programs. There is also a number of partial scholarships available for the finalists. And these programs are launched in cooperation with the Swedish companies that are active in this space, with ABB, Ericsson, and Saab, that are also partners for the university. And in this way, the university can both brand their programs towards their potential target group, but also identify through the competition methodology the very best students that they can then recruit for their master's program. And if you want to look at another example, you can check out the New School competition, which we launched recently with a New School in New York and Parsons School of Design, which is one of the more esteemed universities in the world in design, which is using the competition as a way for students to demo through practical cases and through answering to briefs to show why they are worthy of attending the university. And the top contributions, they get access to the university's scholarship. So to sum up the competition methodology, it saves time and money for the recruiters because you can screen out those that aren't in the top early. You get a better job matching. It's equal and fair because it doesn't matter how or where you learned. What matters is how you perform. And it's also engaging. Many application processes that we see today are extremely boring and extremely time-consuming. And we believe that there is a better way for companies and also universities to design these application processes so that they create more value for both the applicant and for the organization. And we also see, if we look at research, the best way to see if a person is actually good at the job and stays at the job is a combination of general sample tests, which goes in hand in hand with structured interviews and job knowledge tests, and that these are the factors that correlate the very best with how well an employee actually performs at work. So this is yet another reason why we believe that the competition model is a better model of recruiting to companies. So I want to round off a bit with just showing you what we are working on right now and what we're launching in a couple of weeks. So in the end of April, we're launching score.com, and it's possible to sign up and pre-sign up for the service already, which will be a system where any organization in the world can publish their opportunities and connect with this huge global network of students, both large companies, universities, but also smaller companies and organizations. And this platform is based on this competition process where you go through a number of tests for achieving or for applying for every job. And at the end, even if you don't win the competitions, you still get certificates and you still get verification of your knowledge, which you can then use when applying for another job. And we're going to work with profiles for companies where you can list the opportunities. We're going to work with different skills modules for testing different skills. And we're doing this in cooperation with content providers, which are credible universities or publishing houses that delivers the actual assessment content to make sure that it's up to date. And another very central feature of SCORE will be the scorecard or your profile, which you can compare a bit to the LinkedIn profiles. But the difference is that here we are listing your tested abilities and skills, so that you can see the different rankings in the opportunities, how well you perform compared to other students in your university, in your city, other students in the continent, or other students in the world. So you can always compare how you do compared to other students out there. And I just want to end off with this picture. This picture is from a competition that we recently ran in Indonesia, in Jakarta. And you can see the happy winners that are standing here in the pictures that that have won the scholarships for studying a master's program in water management, and also won an internship and capital to get their ideas realized within the framework of the company IKEA. And as a Swedish person, I must speak about IKEA every time I talk because because it's Swedish. But these students are given a future depending on the way that they've been able to demonstrate their skills in practical competitions. And this is also the value that we see that we can bring to the world. The more students that can experience the feeling of actually getting evaluated on all your skills and your knowledge and getting rewarded for it, that is the feeling that we want to spread to the world through SCORE and through the competition methodology. So with that, I want to thank you for listening, and also I'm opening up for questions from you guys.
Yeah, Gustav, thank you very much for your interesting presentation. And now let me see if we have some questions. Уважаемая аудитория, у кого есть вопросы можно задавать на русском, и их переведут. Хорошо, пока вы думаете над своими вопросами, Gustav, let me start with my question. Я хотел спросить, как вашему проекту удалось заработать такую репутацию, что к нему обращаются работодатели, к вам обращаются университеты, чтобы вы провели эти конкурсы и как-то сертифицировали знания студентов, потому что Потому что поначалу это выглядит как будто вы придумали собственную какую-то валюту.
Your own currency, and for example, some people like approach you, and how can they trust your currency, your system of certification and verification of knowledge?
Well, it's a very good question, and what was important to us from the beginning when we started building up our network of partners and universities was that we are never subject experts in the things that we certify. So we work together with our partners, with the universities and with the companies, and let them develop the level of certifications and assessment. And we also let them develop the question material and the cases for the jobs that they are applying for that the students are applying for. And in this way, we are just the infrastructure that the transaction, if you so will, between the students and the companies takes place on. And we also see that a lot of companies have very strong brands. And if you get a credential from a company such as Google or Microsoft, for example, and they verify that your skill is at a certain level, it could be worth as much as a credential from a university. If you end up in the top 1% or 5% of Microsoft's coding competition, for example, it means that you are really, really good at coding, and that has a value in your continuous journey towards the job. But we're also very, very sort of it's important also to emphasize that that the currency of education is still important. It's still important with universities, and the traditional way of getting knowledge is, of course, one of the most important ways for many young people to get their credentials. And many universities still stand very highly and in high regard in the corporate world, so that the currency of education from universities is still also worth something. But the people that we're addressing mainly with the service are those that are maybe not super successful in school, but that are very talented and needs a way to demonstrate their skills for the companies, which is very difficult today if you don't have a traditional degree.
Есть ли у кого-то еще вопросы? Так, если в аудитории нет вопросов, то у меня есть еще один вопрос. I have another question. Густав.
Please.
Не могли бы вы предсказать?
Okay, so my next question is, can you please forecast how or what is the direction for digital certification? Or will it be more like broken down into different skills, like assessment, like a special certificate for one particular skill, or it will be more like different clusters of skills, or how will it be?
Yeah, so what we see on the market of certifications now is that there are so many actors that are producing certifications. There are badge programs, which we see in education, that are becoming increasingly popular, and also badge programs that are backed by companies. So, for example, Salesforce is running badging programs where they train the students in using their service, and after you're done with the training, you get a badge that certificates you in that particular software. And in similar ways, Cisco, Microsoft, Google, etc., are developing their own certification programs for their own products. So I believe what will happen with this ecosystem is that there will be, now initially when the market for certification is early, in a sense, and it's growing in complexity and diversity, that eventually we will see a standardization and perhaps consolidation of all these different certifications in a way that is easy to evaluate and so that you can make the skills employable. And I believe that that transformation will be driven by the employers and the people that are looking to hire people for opportunities, because those are the people that need to be able to evaluate the skills. And that will take place in a dialogue with the universities as well, with the traditional education world, to see that it becomes a harmonized way of assessing skills and talents across the world. Because we also see that people are applying for opportunities across borders, different countries, both for study and for education, and that will have an implication for the way that people evaluate the skills. There are a number of services also that work with backpacks, so-called, where you can collect certificates from different actors and then present them in a coherent way to employers. I hope that answered the question. I'm not sure, but
yeah, thanks. It's an interesting answer. Возникли ли у кого-нибудь вопросы? Нет? Никого не интересует?
Anybody, any questions?
Может быть, у кого-то есть
Maybe
сомнения?
somebody is a little bit shy to ask questions. Any doubts? Oh yeah, there is a lady with a question here.
Добрый день.
Good
Скажите,
afternoon,
пожалуйста,
Gustav.
Добрый день.
участие студентов,
I would like to know
какой основе?
your students who can participate in your tests. Do they have to pay a fee, or is it like free of charge? So how is it done for students?
yeah, it's a very good question. And for our students, it's completely free to participate in the competitions. So the competition prizes and the competitions are paid for by the companies and the universities that organize them. And we don't charge a fee for the students because we believe that the fee would make a barrier for the students to apply for this. And if you're a talented student, we don't believe that there should be a barrier for applying for the jobs. There are other competitions in the world, some competitions that have fees. For example, in the advertising world, there are a number of competitions where you pay a fee in order to participate. But on our site is completely free for students, and it will always be completely free for students to use. That said, there might be premium services in the future which could cost money, but we don't see that in the foreseeable future because we want to keep it as available as possible and as free as possible for all students. Thank you. Sorry, I can't hear that.
Gustav, can you tell us, please, who mainly uses your website? Students like high school students or graduates from university or just anyone? Who is this user of this score.com?
So the main users of studentcompetitions.com and score.com is students that are on their way somewhere. So you can say high school students that are in the end of their education. There are bachelor students that are looking for internships or for scholarships for master's programs. And it's also master's students and bachelor students that are looking for jobs. So either students that are towards the end of their education looking for scholarships for studies or students that are looking for getting their first jobs.
Gustav, please, can you answer this question? How a company or organization can become a partner of yours or your representative? How can it be done?
Yeah, so the easiest way to become a partner with us is to send me an email. I can show you I can give you share my email address just here. See if this works. Can you see this? Hi, can you see this?
No address, no.
Okay, no email address.
Oh, yeah, now we can see. Thank you.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, so the easiest way to become a partner is to send me an email at gustav@score.com and state your organization and what you're interested in, and I will help you to connect with the right person in our organization. And I can also mention that we are, if you have a competition already, you want to list it on students, for example, it's completely free and it's easiest done through the website and posting a competition on studentcompetitions.com. And also, if you work for a university or to get the information to your students, the easiest way is to share the links to studentcompetitions.com with your students, and then they can sign up for newsletters and updates from student competitions. So we have these free newsletters that we send out every week to our students so that they're updated on the latest global competitions within their fields of study. Thank you.
You have answered all the questions, and it was a great presentation. Have a nice day.
Thank you so much, and thank you for having me at the conference. And I look much forward to seeing the rest of the speeches as well from the conference online. So I see that you're posting them there. So I will follow it with great interest, and I wish you the best of luck for the continuance of the conference.
Yep. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
У нас сейчас будет лекция Марка Пренски. Оставайтесь тоже в трансляции. У нас сейчас все пойдет в трансляции здесь и в зале Каменский. Очень интересные Иностранные лекторы.